How's it going, everyone? Johnny Superbman here, and it's time to continue our NHL 26 GM mode commentary with the Calgary Flames. And don't worry, you haven't missed a live stream. I'm doing this on my own. I want to summarize year number one. I want to show you guys the changes and the edits that we made during the offseason, and I want to give you a sneak peek for next year by simulating to preseason for year number two. So we started the year one simulation with an earnest attempt to try to get these Calgary Flames into the playoffs. I wanted to see how the team would simulate. On paper, they looked like crap. During the simulation, they played like crap. And 2-3 months in, we decided to go into full-on tank mode. And that started with us trading away older players with value. First up, Rasmus Andersson. I sent him to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for 2 prospects and 2 first-rounders. And a lot of people thought that I fleeced the AI with this trade, but look what happened. The Minnesota Wild end up winning their franchise's first ever Stanley Cup. So no matter what happens going forward, it was a good trade for them. I'm just hoping that the Minnesota Wild are not a good team this year and next year because we have their first rounders. Imagine they become lottery picks, right? We also traded away Blake Coleman to the Ottawa Senators for a prospect and 2/3, just trying to bring in some younger players, some draft picks. We acquired Jesperi Kotkaniemi from the Carolina Hurricanes. Basically a pet project. This guy was cheap, and if I could turn him into an 84, 85, 86 overall, I could reflip him for a second, maybe even a first rounder. We also acquired Simon Nemec from the New Jersey Devils, and this one, I mean, they had so many defensemen on that team, and he's not listed as medium elite. I know he was drafted second overall a few years ago, but it was high top 4 in this universe, so we were able to acquire him, and with those 4 trades, the tank and the rebuild began with the Calgary Flames. Now, the fans also pointed out that there was a special player available in free agency, Nail Yakupov, the first overall pick from 2012, and if you're going to tank, if you're going to fail, why not acquire Nail? We did. We put him on the first line, and our team fell off a cliff. So bad that we finished second last in the NHL, tied with the Anaheim Ducks, and this is where it got painful. We got the second overall pick. The Anaheim Ducks got the third overall pick. Well, guess what? The draft lottery came around. The third overall pick wins it, meaning that Anaheim moves up to first, and they get Gavin McKenna. We were a tiebreaker away from winning the draft lottery and getting our hands on Gavin McKenna. Oh, the pain. It still hurts, Calgary, but you gotta move forward. And when I was looking at my team, you know, the biggest roster story of the year, Dustin Wolf, our goaltender, without question. This guy's stats were still good for a team that couldn't do anything. We got no goal support, right? I know Mackenzie Weegar got to 90 or 91 overall. Zane Perrick, you know, he's going to be a good offensive defenseman for the future, but Dustin Wolf was the difference maker, and he's locked up 7 years. We got to do our best to try to develop this guy and support him because we got a goalie, Calgary. We really do. Next up was the NHL playoffs, and started the simulation, and same old, same old. The Toronto Maple Leafs lose in the first round in Game 7. Mitch Marner with Vegas, they lose in the first round. We get their first rounder, so it's a bit higher up than it would have been if they had a deep playoff run. Connor McDavid is going to lose his damn mind, losing in the first round after taking a pay cut, essentially, with that team. The Columbus Blue Jackets dethroned the Kings of the East, the Florida Panthers, meaning that we had a Stanley Cup final, Minnesota versus Columbus. What the hell? And like I said, the Minnesota Wild winning their franchise's first ever Stanley Cup. So it was a good season, man. And I didn't even expect this, but we continued the simulation, and our AHL affiliate, the Calgary Wranglers, they ended up winning the Calder. And I did something that I kind of regret, but I had to do it. I fired every single one of them. I want a coaching staff down there in the AHL that develops players. I don't care about winning the championship. They shouldn't have a hard time finding a job, right? I know I did them dirty. Trust me, I get it. But it had to be done, Calgary. And then we had the NHL entry draft, and I said it from day one, I wanted Tej Iginla on the Calgary Flames. Son of Jerome Iginla. I could draft Joe Iginla on my own, but a high trade value player, a promising prospect, Tej Ginla, and I needed to get him from the Utah Mammoth, right? So that meant I had to get creative in the NHL entry draft. Now, we were going to pick 4th overall, but the good thing for us was that 4, 5, 6, and 7 were essentially all the same player, and the one that I had my eyes on, Ethan Belchez, and he was going 7th overall, that meant that I could move back, and the New York Rangers were also willing to give up the 7th overall pick. So what I did was some GM moves. I moved the Vegas Golden Knights first rounder, that was 23rd overall, moved it up and acquired the 7th overall pick from the New York Rangers. With that 7th overall pick, I drafted Ethan Belchez. Then I still had the 4th overall. I traded that to Utah for Tej Ginla. So there it is, Calgary. We now have 3 medium elite players. The foundation is set. I kept Zane Perrick, the guy that you all wanted. I got Tej Ginla, the guy that I wanted, and we settled for Ethan Belchez, who is pretty damn good at 7th overall. And then, not to mention the depth draft picks that we got. NHL ready players, 2 of them. Medium elite depth players, 2 of them. So the future is looking really bright, Calgary. I know we didn't win the draft lottery. I know we didn't get Gavin McKenna, but this is pretty damn good going forward. Next up was free agency, and before we did coaches, before we signed any players, I wanted to make this trade because year number 2, it's the Landon DuPont draft. I want as many chances at the draft lottery as I can, and we traded Nazem Kadri to the Ottawa Senators for a first round. We also then went to free agency and signed Michael Matheson. The reason I did this was because with Zane Perrick and Simon Nemitz, I got 2 young defensemen. I need 2 veteran defensemen that they can play alongside of so that they can develop. Also, Dustin Wolf, I need a good blue line, right? So we're holding on to Mackenzie Weegar. He's 32 years of age. I bring in Michael Matheson. He's 32 years of age. They both got X factors, and now I got a very nice top 4 that's locked in. It's our forwards that are going to be weak. It's our lack of goal scoring, but I got a good blue line right now. We also signed Jonathan Quick as a backup. I needed depth 2-way forward, so we picked up Scott Lawton and Matthew Joseph, and I also signed a few more depth pieces just to fill in the gaps. Basically, players to 1-year deals, less than $1 million per. I think I got Blake Lizotte for less than $2 million. And also, I did something that was similar to signing Nail Yakupov, but this one is all me. Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel is in this damn universe, ladies and gentlemen. I had to sign him, all right? He's at 992 points on his career. We got to get Phil 8 more points, get him to 1,000, ladies and gentlemen. That'd be so damn good. So the roster was ready. My AHL is ready. The depth is ready. Next up was the coaching staff. And I signed Patrick Waugh as our head coach. To me, this is perfect. We don't have that head coach that I can develop just yet. There was no one available in free agency for the coaches. There was no available coaches that I wanted to get long-term. So for me, Patrick Waugh, he's an older guy. He's going to retire in a few years. He can help Dustin Wolf develop because he's a goalie coach. And I began to fill up the rest of the coaching staff with everybody who's got high teaching. So you can look at the teaching category of on all of our NHL coaches and all of our AHL coaches, right? It's all B, B minus, or better. I try to get as many A's in there, but I also had to worry about the coaching salary. That's one of the new rules. And so I got all 8 coaches signed for less than $7.4 million. And then when I simulated to preseason, taking a look at the free agent pool and where players went, it's a wild business, man. Artemi Panarin going to the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg all in right now. They got Hellebuck, they got Connor, they got Panarin. They're going to be a good team next season. And with the extra salary that the Rangers gained from losing Artemi Panarin, they signed John Carlson. So you got Adam Fox, you got John Carlson, right-handed defenders for days over there on the New York Rangers. Rasmus Anderson did not re-up with the Minnesota Wild. He signs with the St. Louis Blues. So even though it was a pure rental for Minnesota, they still got their Stanley Cup. I'm still saying I did not fleece the AI with that. The Columbus Blue Jackets, we got to look at them differently. They just made the Stanley Cup Finals. They acquire Alex Tuch and Nick Schmaltz, right? So they are definitely loading up. Look at this. Montreal, Evgeny Malkin. You guys need that second line center. Boom. There it is. Gino to the Montreal Canadiens. I like this one. Claude Giroux to Colorado. Giroux is done. I'm no longer playing with younger guys. I didn't make it work in Florida. I didn't like my time in Ottawa. I'm going to the freaking Colorado Avalanche to play alongside Nathan MacKinnon. Oh my God. And how about another guy who dominated the 2010s? Jonathan Toews signing with the Edmonton Oilers. Well, there you go. You got another depth piece that can help win you some faceoffs, right, Edmonton? My God. So, with a crazy offseason, with a crazy year number one, it's time we simulate to preseason for year number 2. Oh, it's just not fair, Calgary. There he is on the Anaheim Ducks. Gavin McKenna already getting first line time. Look at this team. McKenna, McTavish, Granny Smith is still there. Leo Carlson demoted down to the third line. Cutter Gauthier, fourth line left wing. Oh, go away, Anaheim. Yeah, what did I say? This team is going to be unbeatable this year. They got friggin' X Factors everywhere. Nate McKinnon, there he is. Claude Giroux. Look at all the X Factors. Defense, look at all the X Factors, man. Their power play. Woo! McKinnon, Natchez, Giroux is in there. Lehkonen, Makar. Giroux's going to have a 100-point season. Watch. Got to do my due diligence for the Columbus Blue Jackets, a team that dethroned the Florida Panthers. They got some X Factors on this team. There's Alex Tuck. There is Nick Schmaltz. So the 2 free agent acquisitions that they made immediately to the first line. Where's Adam Fantilli? There he is. Where is Ken Johnson? Is he on the Tarasenko is on the there he is. Ken Oh man, I didn't even see it. 89 overall with no X Factors. That's got to kick in soon, surely. And on the blue line, yeah, that's why, man. You need a player like that. We need a guy like that. Minnesota had Kirill Kaprizov. Columbus had Zach Werenski. We need that 90 overall stud. The defending Stanley Cup champion Minnesota Wild. There he is, Kirill Kaprizov. Boldy won the Conn Smythe. So they got X Factor still on that team. You need that guy. You need that guy. Their depth really isn't there, right? They're in salary. Is he making 17 mil a year now? Let's see. Hang on. 15 mil. Oh man, 15 mil. I guess the game had to make it work somehow. 15 mil for Kirill Kaprizov. But no Rasmus Anderson. But they still have David Jiricek. They still have Zeev Buium. So they're going to be fine. Les Montreal Canadiens. They're playing Malkin on the left side. You got Suzuki, Malkin, and Caulfield. Slavkovsky is a 90 overall with no X Factors. Demidov is on the second line. They pick up Kuzmenko in free agency as well. Defensively, they got Lane Hudson on the third line. Jacob oh my God. Montreal, qu'est-ce que c'est? Yuka Tollefson. Now, this was the guy drafted, what was it, 12th? Yeah, there was a guy drafted 12th and 13th overall that were actually better than the high or the medium elite drafted players that I could have got between 4 and 7. I should have gone with this guy. So now the Islanders, they got themselves Tollefson, who's instantly to the first line, and Matthew Schaefer there, the young Islanders all of a sudden. The Ottawa Senators. So I showed you the Minnesota Wild. We're hoping that that team misses the playoffs. The Ottawa Senators, there's Nazem Kadri on their second line. They also picked up Jamie Benn, my God. Alexander Wenberg. They got a bunch of X Factors on this team. We need the Ottawa Senators to miss the playoffs, but I don't know. What are they? They got Yakimchuk playing now. What about Ullmark? Yeah, they got Ullmark. Oh, man. I don't know if that team is going to miss. My Toronto Maple Leafs are in shambles. They really haven't done much to improve the forward core. The only different forward is Trevor Moore, who they acquired last year at the trade deadline. But look what they did to the blue line. Tanev is still there. McCabe, Jensen, Carlo, Simone Benoit, and Jamie Oleksiak. As Morgan Riley's been scratched in this universe along with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I thought you wanted to get younger Toronto. Jensen, 35. Oleksiak, 33. Now the Leafs got older and slower. And last but not least, the Winnipeg Jets. An outside look at what might be the best line in the NHL this year. Artemi Panarin, Mark Scheifele, and Kyle Connor. They got passing, they got scoring, they got everything. Defensively, they got Josh Morrissey, so their power play. Morrissey, Velarde, Panarin, Connor, and Scheifele. Yeah, the Jets are going to go off this year. All right, so I've shown you guys a bunch of other teams around the NHL. Now I want to show you the Calgary Calgary Flames set up for year number 2. We're going to see any preseason jumps, all that good stuff, and I want you guys to go nuts in the comment section about what potential lineups we should be looking at for year number 2, right? Because I got a lot of different things going on in my head. So first up, let's take a look at goaltenders. Yes, Dustin Wolf got up to 88 overall, so no matter what, that potential is going to lock in at elite. If he has a good season, he might jump up to 90 overall. If he's a bad season, he might drop down to like 86, 87, but as long as he keeps that medium elite, he can always be a good goalie. So that's what I mean about the biggest story. We got a backup in Jonathan Quick, and in the system, we just got 4 guys that could move up if we need them to, but Dustin Wolf, that's the big story right there. Mackenzie Weegar, 91 overall, still has his exact elite good. So at 32 years of age, he's not dropping off just yet, and there's no point in trading this guy. Can't trade him anyways. Hang on a second. Let me just take a look. I can trade him starting next season. 10-team no trade list, all right? But I'm all right with keeping him along with Matheson, who's also got 3 X factors, because we have Nemitz, because we have Perek, right? There's your top 4. There it is. And then Kevin Ball, Jake Bean, and I think our 7th defenseman would be Brustovitz, all right? So I'll bring him back up there. I got some extra players just for the AHL because we were running a little bit low on defensive players, but there you go. There's the 7. Right wingers, Connor Zary, 84, Coronado, 84, Urov, 83. So look at our right wingers. We got to build them up. Don't have any 90 overalls, but it's getting there. Matthew Joseph, Cunnin, and Phil Kessel, baby. Is Phil playing? Is Phil playing? Gridden is down there. I don't think Gridden is ready to go for the NHL just yet. You guys take a look at his stats. Thing is, we got to do, are we tanking fully this year? Like, are we trying to be the worst team in the NHL so that we guarantee the top 3? You know, because just getting a medium elite player is going to be good for us this year. Landon DuPont would be nice, but I don't know. Do we want to play our young guns in the NHL? Do we want to enhance the tank? Lots of different questions right here. Left wingers, Jonathan Huberdeau, still a top 6, still an 86 overall. In the system, there is Curtis Boudin. Boudin is perfect for the AHL. I don't need to bring this guy up just yet. Play down there in the AHL. And also Houtanen, who doesn't have the low elite, is only medium top 6, but he's also NHL ready, it said. So I got a bunch of guys here. There's Ethan Belchez. He's only 73 overall. He's got 2 X factors. I think he's still playing with the Windsor Spitfires, so there's no reason to bring him up this season. And in the NHL for centers, Frost is an 84, Backlund 83, Sharon Govich we got to grow, Kotkaniemi we got to grow, Scott Lawton, there he is, Tej Aginla, 80 overall. Is he ready for the NHL or not? So you can do this 2 ways. You can try to win the Calder with this guy, and if you're going to do that, you got to wait, because he's not really that good, and there's another guy on the Anaheim Ducks, his name is Gavin McKenna, he's more than likely going to win the Calder. So you could play him in the AHL for 1 year, but if we're truly trying to be the worst team in the NHL and tank, you can hit 2 birds with 1 stone. You can develop him by playing him on the first line and taking the pain for this year, and that way he'll get as much ice time as we can. Maybe he can win the Calder, and it's going to make us a really bad team, right? If we send him to the AHL, he can save his Calder for next season, but we'll be a better team this year. And man, lots of different questions here. So there is Tej Aginla in the system. Reshny, he's not ready to go. I got a tough guy in Curtis Douglas, so it seems like everyone's up here. So if I just go to forwards and I get rid of the guys, Lazat, Kessel, let's say I send Tej down, all right? Let's just send him down for right now. Let me bring up Klapka, all right? Is Tej available to play in the AHL this season? I want to show you guys absolutely everything. So preferred lines, there you go. We'll go over here for the AHL squad. There he is. Tej Aginla can play in the AHL. That's actually setting up such a sweet line in the AHL this year. Curtis Boudin, 2-way forward on the first line left wing. Tej Aginla, first line center sniper. And I was reading your comments. You guys were saying, Johnny, his face-offs are not that good. Maybe turn him into a winger. I can look into that. And Matt Gridden, a playmaker. So you can begin to play your young guns, right? Houtanen, I'd want to move up a little bit. Nail Yakupov on this team. I mean, I got Nail. If we want to tank in the NHL, I can bring this guy up. Merkley, Basha, we got to get some ice time too, so Basha's got to get in there. Misa is a medium top 9, so we don't really have to worry about that. Kivi Haru is back there. We acquired him from the Minnesota Wild, low elite. And Henry Muse, he was also low elite, right? So So what do we want to do when it comes to our AHL and NHL talent? When we switch back to the NHL now, if I were to go best lines, the head coach sees it like this: Huberdeau, Frost, and Zeri. Second line, Scott Laughton, Backlund, Coronado. I would definitely not do that. I think I'd do Coronado on the first line. Second line, I want to begin to grow Sharangovich and Kotkaniemi. So Kotkaniemi down the middle, Sharangovich to the right side. Zeri, can you play the left? I'd have to figure out that line. It's a little bit weak right now. You're off to the third line right wing, can play alongside of our captain, Michael Backlund, Scott Laughton, Cunnin, and Joseph. See what I mean here about all of our depth players? Like, I got Phil Kessel in there, I got Klapka in there. Brustovitz, I forgot about that. Brustovitz I could bring up and actually play on the defensive side of things. But what do we want to do here, right? Do we want to play our young guns like a Ginla, like Gridden? Because that would actually turn us into a worse team, where if we go into the season like this, we might be that 500 team again. Trying to get the worst overall pick or the first overall pick, trying to be the worst team in the NHL usually doesn't work. You always end up dropping a second or third, like I said in the past, 5-9, but we could get 5-9 through Minnesota or Ottawa, right? So we got a lot of different ideas that we could utilize for the year 2 season simulation. If I had to say, I would say use Ginla in the NHL right now. Just go for it, right? And then also you have your coaching conversations. So, oh my God, that's another thing, right? So like the coaching conversations. Let's just do this because I got to bring them back up. Let's just do this just for, I'm not going to go through with any conversation. I want you guys to chime in on what I should be doing. But if I bring up Ginla to the NHL, I don't care about this. Yeah. Best lines, damn it. Let me make my point. Don't get in my way right now, game. If I switch back to the NHL, the game is just taking its sweet-ass time now. There's Ginla. He is available to talk to with the Calgary Flames, right? So if I jump in there and I go season goal, right? Long-term season goal. I can tell him, I need you to be able to stay on the roster for the entire season. I don't know what that gives him. Stat challenge, right? Do we try to get 30 or 50 goals, 30 or 40 goals? That could get his shot a lot better. I could improve his face-offs. I wonder if he's going to be an assist guy. I already told him to shoot the puck more in the off-season. We could also go season goal, long-term award challenge, and try to get the Calder going for him, right? But like I said, Gavin McKenna is going to be hard to beat for the Calder. And last but not least, I think you could just immediately go for X Factors, right? What do we want to do with Ginla? Quick release. I'd have to get 30 goals on the year. I don't know if he's ready to start getting 30 goals on the year. So we got a lot of conversations to go through with all of our players, NHL, AHL, and we have to define what the objective is for year number 2. Because if it's clearly just tank from the beginning, we should be playing our younger players. If it's protecting the younger players, then we're going to be like a 500 team, maybe a little bit worse, because you got to remember our coaching staff, it's not weak this year. Patrick Waugh is an A- coach. He's got A's across the board. We might score some more goals this year, and with Dustin Wolf, you never know. I've seen crazy things in the simulation, right? If we want to guarantee ourselves a top 3 pick, we have to be the worst team in the NHL, and that way, you know what? Let's see what's available in the NHL entry draft. Hang on a second here, because sometimes the difference between 3 and 4 is an NHL-ready player. You're gonna get medium elites, but look at our guy that we got at 7th, Ethan Belchez. He's 73 overall. Well, the other guys who were drafted, there was an 81 overall Jacobson in there, right? So, like, if we get the 3rd overall pick, it'll be this guy, Cadman Clutterbuck. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A left winger. Muir's a left winger. Right winger, Kagordiov. Oh my God. Pelosi, Jacobson, Bouchard. But I think this is a deep draft. Because I've seen these guys, Bethal and Bouchard. I think they're legit players, and I've seen them at medium elites before. These guys coming from like Norway and Austria and Belarus and United, Pelosi might be a real player, but these 3 guys I think are computer-generated players. So, yeah, man, if Ottawa could be a bad team, if Minnesota could be a bad team, we could maybe pick up some players with the... And if we get the worst if we're the worst team, we drop back to 3rd, we get ourselves Clutterbuck, Muirs, and we need another winger. If Ginla is going to be our first line center, We would just need one of these guys to be a playmaker, essentially, right? And it could work. So there it is, Calgary. Your year 2 setup for your Flame season. What are we trying to accomplish? Are we just straight up being the worst team in the NHL while developing our younger players? Are we protecting our younger players, letting them play the AHL while developing our NHL talent, right? If we do that, we might be a 500 team. And what would happen if we were a 500 team and Ottawa makes the playoffs and Minnesota makes the playoffs? Then we get none of those medium elite players, right? I think it would still be beneficial for us to have one more tanking season, but I want to hear what you all have to say. This is what this GM mode commentary is all about, and good news, you're not going to have to wait long. The next live stream is going to be this Wednesday, so 2 days from now, this Wednesday at 4 p.m., we're going to take it back and we're going to start the season simulation for year number 2. So let me know what you all think, and I will see you all next time.